Well, yesterday, the mayor of the city of Fort Wayne, Sharon Tucker, had her second State of the City address. And in every State of the City address, you always talk about all the good things going on in your city, the best things that are happening, the things you're planning on doing. But one thing stuck out big time. And that is going to make a lot of people in downtown Fort Wayne very, very happy. What was it? Well, she announced that Chuck Surak, Sweetwater Sound, a guy who's done a whole lot of stuff in this city, has decided that he is going to put in a grocery downtown Fort Wayne. That's right. Chuck Surak is going to build a grocery downtown right there where the Sunbeam Bakery was, the Wholesome Bakery, Aunt Millie's, or whatever name you're using. It'll be on the West End on Pearl Street. And he said, well, it's going to be 20 to 30,000 square feet, maybe larger. But they're already gutting out the old bakery, which means they've got a nice supply place, a location to put all their stuff up. And in 20 to 30,000 feet, well, that's not going to be a megastore by any situation, but you don't need a megastore downtown. You need a store sort of like an Aldi's, and maybe a Trader Joe's if you think about it. But at Aldi's, the concept is pretty good. Have the stuff you need, not a huge variety of stuff to choose from, but the stuff that everybody needs. Rather than having 10 or 20 assortments of the same thing, you may have 5. All right, that works, whatever level you're thinking about. But why are we getting a grocery downtown Fort Wayne at this time? Well, let's go back 30 years. Let's go back into the 80s and 90s. There used to be a grocery store downtown. What was it? Rogers. Rogers Market had a store downtown. As a matter of fact, the headquarters of the Rogers Market was, in fact, downtown Fort Wayne. I know because I dealt with them many times. But yes, there was a grocery store downtown, but things changed. And after the Lincoln Life basically moved to Philadelphia, bailed out of Fort Wayne, things changed in downtown Fort Wayne. It used to be, back in the 70s, 80s, and even going into the 90s, the downtown was packed with people working. Thousands of people worked downtown. But by 5, 6 o'clock, say 6 o'clock in any evening, you could shoot a rifle down Main Street and hit nothing because people bailed out. Yes, they worked downtown, but they didn't live downtown. They lived in the suburbs. They lived north, south, east, and west. They lived everywhere. Because back in those days, nobody lived downtown because there weren't places to live downtown. Yes, you had the Three Rivers apartments, and I understand that, but people over there at Three Rivers, they could just jump on Spy Run, drive up there to the corner of Spy Run and State, and there was a brand new Kroger's right there. So they could go shopping at the Kroger's, but the Kroger's is now gone, right? People are still saying, gee, you need to shop. But here's what's happened, and Chuck Surak has seen it. People are beginning to move downtown, especially young people. They want an apartment downtown. They want to be able to get around downtown. And many people like walking around downtown. Believe it or not, during the summer, you might be surprised if you go downtown and see how many people are walking around, places that are open, stores that are open. Yes, the Coney Island's open, and everybody knows about that. There's the ice cream store and a whole bunch of other places that are actually open. And because there's a new life building up downtown. You can call it gentrification if you choose to, but locations are building up. Apartments are building up, and old storage, old warehouse buildings, putting in apartments, and very nice apartments. And then there's apartment buildings being built. Apartments are going up, and residential places are going up all over downtown Fort Wayne. And people are starting to move down there because, well, they're comfortable being downtown. Their life is downtown. What they're doing is downtown, and they're happy with it. Nothing wrong with that. But Chuck Surak sees what's going on and says, you know what? We need a grocery. Many years ago, the old Holiday Inn, which is now, I think, a retirement home of some sort, it's a corner of Washington and Lafayette, the multi-story facility, that used to be a Holiday Inn. Well, after it changed, it went into a different venue, it wasn't a hotel anymore. A gentleman wanted to put a grocery store in the down first floor area, about where the swimming pool was. Wanted to put one in there. He tried. I give him credit for that. It just didn't work out. Not enough people wanted to shop in there, but because they had nice parking space and everything. So, the new place is going to be 20 to 30,000 square feet. That's going to be large enough to have everything. It's going to have a deli and a bakery and everything else that you need. Everything for people who now live downtown. Chuck Surak saw what was going on, said, we need it. And he's got the vision, the foresight, and the cash to be able to create a new grocery store downtown, within walking distance of everywhere downtown, and a new grocery store is coming. It'll be opening in 2027. Right now they're gutting the buildings and getting ready to make things happen. But it's going to be something great for you folks downtown. No longer will you have to drive to the north, the south, the east, to the west, or wherever you go to get your groceries. Thanks to the idea, the concept, thanks to the forward thinking of Chuck Surak, you folks downtown are finally getting your own grocery store. And you know what? It's about time. And now you know.